Hi, I'm Adam Drake, and I want to talk about a new product from Mugen Seiki Racing today. It is part number E2572. It's the new Emulsion Damper Cap Set for any Mugen 16mm shock body. So you can use this on MBX8, buggy, truck, nitro, electric, and any of the older models, the 7R, the 7TR, any of the vehicles that use a 16mm shock body. Now, with the E2572, you're going to get a pair of caps, a pair of stamped bladders for when running the emulsion style. You will also get a pair of the upper shock bushings and also 2 screws and 2 washers for the bleeder holes on the cap. You get a quick instruction manual. And the reason for the instructions is because there's a few different ways you can build your shocks when using the emulsion style caps. If you use the standard bladders, you can literally install the screw and washer, put the standard bladder in, and you can use the cap the same way that you would with the stock caps that come in the kits. You just build it as normal bladder. I have videos on how to build the shocks all the different ways, but for now I'm just going to explain some of the options when using the emulsion caps. Another thing you can do is if you want to run bladders, you can remove the screw and washer, install the bladder, go ahead and build and bleed the shock like you normally would with the screw out. And what that's going to do is it will relieve any of the pressure that is behind the bladder. So it'll make it seem as though you have a softer bladder. You can then compress the shock all the way, put the screw and washer in place, and again, it's going to just reduce the amount of air or volume behind the bladder. Now, the main reason for these caps, or the way that we've been running them lately, is like the name says, emulsion. And with that, it comes with a couple of bladders that have already been stamped. So it's just more like a seal for the cap. And it allows you to get extra oil into the cap. And then because there isn't a full bladder sealing it, it allows the excess oil to bleed out when building the shocks. So a couple things to consider with these shock caps. Again, this has been something that pretty much the whole team has been running for quite some time now. We're excited to finally release it. But a couple things you want to make sure of is with the seal that comes with it, we will be selling those as an aftermarket part, so you can get replacement seals. But if for some reason we're out of stock or you don't have them, because over time the silicone oil will kind of make that seal a little bit soft, and sometimes when you go to crank the cap down, that seal can kind of get bunched up and can leak. If that happens, it's just time to replace the seal. It's just gotten too soft. And if you don't have extra seals, you can actually just take the existing bladder and you can trim it yourself with some scissors. I'll show you a little bit closer here in a minute. Also, you will want to make sure when installing the upper shock bushings that you pay attention to the orientation before installing those. I normally like to have the bleeder screw towards the inside, so you'll want to make sure to just properly install those. It's not a big deal if you just slap the bushings in and you have both bleeder screws to the right side or left side of the car. Again, doesn't really make much of a difference, but when having the bleeder screw, the orientation towards the inside of the car, there's less chance if you get hit or flipped that screw can kind of get damaged. But I'm going to go ahead, I will change the camera angle, show you a little bit closer look, and then I'll also show you how you can trim the standard bladders if for some reason you need those or need to replace the seals when running the emulsion style caps. Okay, so here we have a little bit of a closer look. These are two of the caps that I already went ahead and installed the upper bushings. I have the screws in, and again, just want to show you how I do the orientation so that the screws are facing the inside of the vehicle. You can, it doesn't really matter again but I just try to make sure the bleeder screws, and also if you run bladder style, the bleeder hole face the inside. I just think it looks a little bit cleaner. Now, all of these parts will be sold, or, replacement parts will be sold also. The screws, the washers, we already sell the upper bushings. But I wanted to just show you kind of a closer view, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut a set of these bladders so that you can see how it then fits into the cap. So this is the cut from the factory bladder. It's like super clean, looks really nice. But the biggest thing is this is just used as a seal. So it doesn't have to be as clean or perfect as that. I just go ahead, nip a little slit. And then I like to leave a little bit more material because I think it kind of reinforces this seal, especially over time. But I'll just go ahead and trim kind of all the way around on the sharp corner there. And then go ahead and go back, clean it up just a little bit. So you can see it's not super clean, but it gets the job done. Now you can install this two different ways. You can install it the way that you would install it as if you were running a bladder, but it's actually a bit more durable if you flip this, because the angle of this bladder will fit the angle and contour of the shock cap. So you'd actually put it in backwards from what you would normally do, like if you were actually using it as a bladder cap. And then that will, again, fit the contour perfect. It gives a little bit more support when you go to crank the cap down so that it doesn't kind of get twisted and cause it to leak. So again, you can do it either way. You can get the replacement seals, or you can just take a set of bladders, trim it yourself, and use that as a seal for the emulsion style shock caps.